Hello, today is day 235 in our journey through the Word, and in today's reading, just right off the very start of today's reading, came my thought really for the day is how much are you willing to give? When God calls us, sometimes that calling is easy and we can move. But sometimes what God calls us to do is very, very difficult. But God knows what He's doing. And though some of those times are very difficult, He always walks through us when we follow Him in His leading. In today's reading, God uses Ezekiel's wife as an illustration to the people of Israel and Judah. He did that by taking her life. He called her home. And this is what God said to Ezekiel. He said, "Son of man, with one blow I will take away your dearest treasure. I'm going to take away your wife. Yet you must not show sorrow at her death. Do not weep. Let there be no tears." And I thought, what an impossible request. But it wasn't a request from God. It was God's command. And only through God's strength could Ezekiel could have done what God had just commanded him. You must not show sorrow at her death. You must not weep. Do not weep. Let there be no tears. Only in God's strength could we walk through a situation like that. But God was clear to Ezekiel there's a reason. He didn't just take her. There was a reason He took her. There's times when loved ones, friends and loved ones are called home at a young age and we don't understand. And we've experienced that recently in our church family with our pastor. God called him home at a young age and we don't understand. But there's a reason to God's plan. There is a reason to God's plan, and we have to trust Him in that, and we have to follow Him in that. If there was just one, would you be willing to make such a sacrifice to save one soul? God's calling isn't always easy. God's calling isn't always the high road, the wide road. God's calling is sometimes over the peak of the mountain, along a very narrow path. Very difficult. But God leads us there. He does not walk us there alone. I'm also reminded in our reading today, and it's my part of something old, is we should not celebrate the hardships and disciplines of another. God said in Ezekiel 25:6-7, He said, "Because you clapped and danced and cheered in glee at the destruction of my people, I will raise my fist of judgment." And even as God's children, we should not clap and dance and cheer at the discipline and the hardship of another. We should not be saying, well, they deserved it. I'm glad they finally got what they deserved. No, we should not. Because God, that's not the reflection of Christ that God wants us to have for those around us. We should have the heart of Christ in those situations. We should stop. We should pray for them. And if that sense of glee and pride build up in our lives, we should stop and pray for forgiveness for ourselves. In Micah 7:18 it says, "Do not gloat over me, my enemies, for though I fall, I will rise again. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light." The Lord is our light. When we walk those tough trails, those high roads to the peak, or the low roads through the valleys, the Lord will be our light. He will be our strength. Words of encouragement today. For me, yes. I hope for you as well. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again tomorrow as we continue our journey through the Word.